good afternoon, or good morning still. It's 11:19, Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. I'm here to discuss UFC 269, which took place this past Saturday, December 11th, at the T-Mobile Arena. Charles Oliveira defeated Dustin Poirier in your main event. Julianna Pena shocked the world, defeated Amanda Nunes in the second round by rear naked choke, really just by exhaustion and breaking someone. Geoff Neal defeated Santiago Ponzinibbio by split decision, could have gone either way. Kai Kara France defeated Sean O'Malley with a TKO. I believe that was round one. Did I just say Kai Kara France? I don't even know what I just said. I'm going to repeat myself because I think I said something wrong right there. Kai Kara France defeated Cody Garbrandt, round one. Sean O'Malley defeated Raulian Paiva, round one TKO for both of them. Josh Emmett beat Dan Ige, surprisingly by unanimous decision. I thought the fight was close, and not that you can predict a split decision, but if I'm surprised that all three judges were on the same page, and really surprised that one judge scored the fight 30-27. That's egregious, because there's no way Emmett won round two. Ige really put it on him. I almost felt like maybe Ige was going to win that one, because I thought that he did better in round three also. Dominick Cruz beat Pedro Munhoz 29-28. That's good. That's good times three. That's good judging. It was to me, it was a pretty easy fight to score, and they got it right. Tai Tuivasa defeats Augusto Sakai by KO. I believe that's round two. Bruno Silva defeats Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja, by TKO. I think that was round one. My memory of those earlier fights is going to be somewhat not that great. I was kind of trying to catch a nap, to be honest, just to be able to stay up to catch the main card. Andre Muniz, I saw this one, defeats Eryk Anders by submission. It was like an arm bar, similar position to how he broke Jacare's arm, and I think that informed Eryk Anders' decision to tap before a snap. Erin Blanchfield, very impressive. First time I'm seeing her fight. She defeats Miranda Maverick, who is someone, highly regarded as a young up-and-coming prospect. And to find out that Blanchfield is younger, and to see what she did to her, 30-27s across the board, just dominated. It was just really eye-opening. Miranda Maverick's now on a 2-fight skid. It should only be 1-fight skid, but for whatever reason, the judges gave Macy Barber a victory over her that Barber did not deserve. Ryan Hall gets back in the win column. He beats Darrick Minner. Fun back and forth type of a fight. It seems like Minner his strategy wasn't the greatest. But he was able to grapple with Ryan Hall and not get submitted. I mean, that's a feather in your cap. But at the same time, he needed to do something different. It was a 29-27 score. I joked on Twitter that one of the judges just was like, "Man, this is so boring. Nobody deserves a 10." But I believe that you're not even allowed to give without a point deduction. You're not even allowed to give out a 9-9. I don't know how you don't pull a judge who does that aside and question, what happened there. It's possible that it was just as simple as you wrote a 9 for one guy, and then you kind of forget that you already gave out the 9. Maybe it was one of those rounds in his mind was really close, and he just couldn't remember that. It was just like he tossed a coin and he said, "Okay, this person gets a 9," and then he forgot, "Oh wait, I already wrote the 9 there." I don't know what it is, but my understanding is that at the end of each round, they give that score out, so they can't go back and say, "Oh wait, I need that back. I realize I made a mistake." So I think that's what happened. I hope that's what happened. I hope that there's not a judge there that didn't realize that without a point deduction, there's no way for you to score around 9-9. I saw John McCarthy tweet that, so I'm pretty sure that's correct. Tony Kelley defeats Randy Costa by TKO elbows. Seemed like TKO exhaustion, breaking a guy. That's what it felt like to me. And it seemed like Costa was trying to limit how he fought. He's known to brawl, and he didn't want to do that. But Kelley didn't really give him an option, and he wore him out, got him down, and just pretty much got that TKO stoppage. Gillian Robertson defeats Priscila Cachoeira by submission rear naked choke. I didn't watch this fight live. I missed this one. And in fact, all I saw was the finish. Priscila Cachoeira was trying to eye gouge in order to get out of the rear naked choke, after missing weight for the fight to begin with. The first time I remember Priscila Cachoeira is when Valentina Shevchenko put a hellacious beating on her, and what was his name? I believe it's Mario Yamasaki would not stop that fight, man. I mean, she was getting taken to the woodshed, and Yamasaki was just sitting there every now and then you'll see referees realizing a guy is or a girl is just getting destroyed or just losing really badly at one point, and they'll kind of give them cues, say, hey, fight back, defend yourself, do something, some kind of cue. And he just silently sat there and just watched this girl getting the stuffing beaten out of her. That was the first time I remember seeing her. And I thought, obviously she's tough. But here, and she had gotten better from what my eyes told me from fights that preceded. Because that fight, I was just like, man, this girl doesn't belong here. But obviously anybody can look like that versus Shevchenko, as we know. I was kind of like, if you could do that over again, and we should have kind of known. We already knew Shevchenko was already established brand. You should not put somebody making their UFC debut in a fight with Valentina Shevchenko. That's just the most ridiculous thing ever. And we should have already known that. She had already gone, back to back with Amanda Nunes with these razor-thin decision losses. She had beaten the likes of Holly Holm, Sarah Kaufman, the new champ Julianna Pena. She was the second best bantamweight when she left the bantamweight division, even though we all could see that she was undersized in that division. So coming down, you shouldn't give somebody with those kind of credentials a newcomer, but they did, and we saw why you shouldn't do that type of a thing. Now I just want to, I discussed the results, what happened there. I want to discuss but just give an opinion on what should be next for the winners and the losers. And in fact, since I started at the top, I'm going to go in reverse order here. The UFC should cut Priscila Cachoeira. You can't miss weight and then try to gouge somebody's eyes out and stay in a promotion if that promotion has any kind of respect for their athletes. You got to send a message to the other athletes and to the offended party that, hey, we got your back. We don't accept this type of behavior. So she should be cut. Gillian Robertson was an impressive finish. I think she was on a 2-fight skid. To be honest, I would give her Macy Barber. I don't know if they fought, but after an impressive win, I don't really consider Macy Barber to be on a winning streak, even though her record says she is. She fell out of the fight with Blanchfield. I think that would be a reward for Gillian Robertson to get a bump up with somebody who certainly got to be ranked above her. And yeah, that's what I would give her. Randy Costa, stuff, I think that, it'd be great for him to get another fight in the UFC. kind of get to work on some things and then maybe show that he is improving his gas tank and, getting better. But he's, he's been on the nail end of a couple hammer and nail type of fights here. With the UFC constantly bringing new people in, it's like he's not panning out. So I don't know. And bantamweight is a super stacked division. If anything, I would. I'm a person who likes to build up someone who I still believe has promise by giving them a warm-up fight or a tune-up fight, like the box. I'm in favor of like the boxing style matchmaking. But when you have somebody who is this young and has not necessarily proved that they're actually a legit prospect, what do you do there? I would almost make him sink or swim versus a veteran that I want to maybe keep around, maybe try to help them go out on a win, like a Faber or a Frankie Edgar. I know people say, that's crazy, the rankings, this and that, especially with the Frankie Edgar, but it's like, and I know what happens in certain fighters' minds when they get a win. They start to think, okay, I still got it, I can still do it. But I don't know why the UFC always seems to want to give guys like Edgar just like these absolute hammer after hammer after hammer, and like you're trying to just beat them into submission. Why can't you have them go out on a win and say, hey, we're not giving you any more fights, and if you want your release, I'll give you your release. But that's how I would do it, especially with people who have been such good fighters for me, like a Frankie Edgar. So that's that. That's what I would do. Randy Costa, maybe Frankie Edgar. Tony Kelley, that was very impressive, and I think he was calling out Yanez. So do that. I don't know if Yanez is even matched up, but I think that they're both somewhere in the lower ranked. So that seems like a fun fight. I would always allow, if somebody calls out a fighter, they're both unranked or one's like ranked up 11 to 15 or something. He's not really high up there, and somebody just had a good victory like Tony Kelley did. They call him out. A lot of times I'm going to allow these guys to make their own matches. I hate when the UFC, when somebody does call for like some specific fight and it makes sense, and for whatever reason the UFC doesn't do everything. I mean, at least on your part as the UFC, say, hey, that's something we're interested in. We're going to talk with them and see if we can make that happen. A lot of times they like to throw cold water on a thing, unless of course then they want to put pressure on somebody like with Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker, then you announce a fight that has not yet been signed, sealed, and delivered. Darrick Minner, he was a loser of that fight with Ryan Hall. Did not choose a smart game plan. It's a little disappointing. Who would I give Darrick Minner coming off of that performance? I think he might be on a skid. I think he might have lost more than one. I don't know that I have a name off the top of my head. What I would like to do is to give him some time off and have him face another, dominant, grappling heavy guy, but not somebody ranked too high. Certainly who you call it is matched up and he's ranked too high, so he doesn't fit this bill. Bryce Mitchell. But somebody like that, a Bryce Mitchell type, or maybe somebody in that 11 to 15 rank area that's coming off of a loss. Maybe use him to build up somebody who's coming off a loss that's highly ranked, even though they, not necessarily known for grappling, like a Yair Rodriguez. Again, I favor a boxing build up of like your top prospects, and Yair Rodriguez fits that bill. He is a top prospect. He is coming off of a tough loss to Max Holloway. He fought well. but like, he doesn't, his next fight, doesn't need to be against an absolute hammer. Like, he acquitted himself well in defeat. And you want to get him back to his winning ways. Maybe give him Minner as somebody that he can style on potentially, and give Minner this big opportunity to say, hey, don't look at that last fight. I'm a different man. I'm a rehabilitated man. Ryan Hall is always difficult to match up because people hate to fight his style. Like, you kind of, it's like, if you're gonna win against him, sometimes you can't look good. Like who you call it, Topuria. Even Topuria, TKO'd him, and it just was a nasty, ugly looking fight because Ryan Hall is just gonna sit there and just keep on, making all of these, just throwing a whole bunch of kicks, leaving himself kind of wide open, in hopes of like somersaulting, grabbing your leg, like using an Imanari roll, and trying to get you in some kind of a leg lock. Whenever you get guys like that, it's just super difficult to find somebody to face them. And he's always gonna want, top flight guys because he's no spring chicken, and he knows that his skills, like that if he's on, and if he can catch and beat anybody in the world. So he's one of those. Always one of those tough guys to matchmake with. I think Bryce Mitchell mentioned that he was fighting Barboza. I don't know if he said that explicitly, but he alluded to that when he spoke to Helwani. So he's out of and the only reason I raise him is because he's also a super dominant grappler, although he's not like just like a super specialist, but he really just grabs a hold of his opponents and ragdolls them and just gets them. And I think he got one twister victory on his record, and he fought somebody else and was just like putting them in the twister and nearly getting the submission and didn't quite get it. So I don't have a name for Ryan Hall. Miranda Maverick. Tough loss. Showed she has good heart. Her skills just were not as good as Blanchfield's. It's just, it wasn't for lack of want. It wasn't even really bad strategy. It's just that, sometimes if you have a girl who's like, you're maybe even on the feet, maybe you're slightly better, but she just leaps and bounds better than you when it comes to grappling. Like, what are you going to do? Like, if you can't just absolutely just make her wither with your striking, and she's just able to grab a hold of you and get you down and just wear you out that way, it's like you're just up against it. I mean, I would just, give her somebody in the 11 through 15. I think that she is perfectly suited to, come back from this. And in fact, I would almost match her up with one of those top girls who have already been destroyed by Valentina, whether it be Lauren Murphy, Chukagian, Jessica Ai. Jessica Ai is always a good person to use to pick somebody else up. I think, and that's a nice clash of styles. So I think that's who I would go with, Jessica Ai, for Miranda Maverick, if she's still fighting. I know Jessica Ai is doing a lot with like OnlyFans and other marketing avenues. But if she's still there for the fight, that would be a cool fight. Another girl coming off of two consecutive defeats, a possibility would be Cynthia Calvillo, but she got badly beaten up, so she might need more time than Maverick does. But for Maverick, you get as Luke Thomas would say, you get audited in that kind of a way where you thought that you had these certain strengths, and somebody shows you that they're just that much superior to you. Maybe you want to take some time off and work on those things also. Erin Blanchfield, I give her Tala Santos or Talia. I'm not sure. I've heard it said multiple different ways. I really I'm high on Santos also as well as Blanchfield now that I've laid eyes on them. And typically I don't love when you have these two budding stars in a division. I don't love matching them up. I almost want them to take different routes so that you make more contenders for the champion. But in this instance, Valentina has already mowed through so many different girls. So if Santos, I mean, hell, if I was gonna be honest, I would almost give Santos Shevchenko right away. But they're probably not gonna do that because she did lose her debut and she's only on like a 2 or 3 fight winning streak. But you can see that all the talent is there. So I would, if they're not going to give Santos the Shevchenko bout, I would give her Blanchfield and then let them face the winner of Shevchenko and whoever Shevchenko eventually gets matched up against. Eryk Anders, the loser of the fight against Muniz. I don't know. Do you keep him around? He's been around for a while. He's win some, lose some, go up to 205, come back down to 185. I'm not really inspired by his game, his development. I mean, he's just, some of these, it's unfortunate to say this. I mean, but we just get so many different fighters who get into the UFC, and are able to stay for long periods of time, being up and down and it's kind of, I'm being kind of critical and a jerk to say this, but like there's just certain times where I look at a fighter's age, and look at their ability, their potential. Anders doesn't strike me as the type of guy who's gonna be able to turn it around and actually contend for a championship. And for those reasons, if I were the UFC, I would probably, part ways. I mean, I would, if this is his best avenue to continue to get paid, I wouldn't mind giving him fights. But like, if I'm the matchmaker, it's just like, I don't know. What are we doing? I want to give opportunities to other guys to take a look at other guys. And if he expressed a desire for one more to keep on showing, okay, fine, I'll give you a fight, somebody else coming off a loss who I have these same kind of similar feelings, who's also passionate about staying with the promotion and trying to prove that they can still do it. Has he fought Sam Alvey yet? Sam Alvey just keeps on losing and being able to stay with the UFC. I know he's at 205, but what the hell? Andre Muniz, this guy he's a rising star, man. I would let him take Kelvin Gastelum's spot if Gastelum is still trying to fight at 85. Or if not, if he's trying to go back to 170, Jack Hermanson hasn't been doing the greatest. Maybe him. Jordan Wright, fun fighter, fighting at middleweight, Beverly Hills Ninja. He lost, but he's fun. He's young. I give him a top guy, to tell you the truth. I give him a top guy just because he's so fun. Give him somebody who, I told you, I'm the way I like to matchmake is, give guys him a great opportunity to shock the world and give him somebody who needs a win. Think about this. This is fantastic. I don't know if anything I've said is brilliant so far, but I know that Kevin Holland was supposed to run it back with, I think, I can't remember which Darkus it is. There was a headbutt or whatever. But Kevin Holland's been on this. He's been on this terrible losing streak. Why not give him Jordan Wright? Wright is get this opportunity to shock the world. He's one of these guys who goes for it. He's not going for takedowns. He's going to try to stand and bang and make it a fun fight. And that's somebody who Holland needs. Like, he's been fighting a lot of grappling heavy fighters like Brunson, and he could use somebody like a Jordan Wright to get back. Bruno Silva, it's the crazy thing is I probably would give him somebody lower ranked than even a Holland, give him a slow build. I would give him one of these guys coming off the Contender Series, somebody with maybe contrasting style to what he brings to the table. He seems to like to, knock folks silly. I'd give him one of these guys whose ideas they want to just, win by any means necessary kind of grapplers, see whose will would overcome whose. Like this guy who just wants to put a hurt on you, or the guy who wants to, just get you out of there with punches and kicks, etc. Augusto Sakai, he lost to Tai Tuivasa. If Greg Hardy's still around, that's who I would give him. Tai Tuivasa, I love this guy. I want him on every pay-per-view every month, just knocking fools out. I don't care if they're highly ranked or whatever, Give him a jabroni. Give him, I think the UFC parted ways with Walt Harris. I like Walt Harris. I wouldn't want that for Walt. But he's a fun fighter. Pedro Munhoz, man, he's a top tough fighter. He's fought all these tough guys, but man, he's just not able to get over the hump. I almost wonder if it's I honestly, I hate to say it, but he's another one that I might consider letting go of, because he's good enough to beat most top upcoming prospects. Like even like you think about like a Sean O'Malley. I wouldn't favor Sean versus Pedro Munhoz. And I don't want him fighting a hammer like that, losing, and I can't do anything with either guy now. So I would almost consider like, you still have usefulness, PFL can use you, Bellator can use you. If I was a UFC, I wouldn't be the type of guy to be holding on to people just because I don't want them to go to the other competition. Right now, your usefulness for us and what we're trying to do, it's expired for now. Maybe not forever. You maybe can do a Rumble Johnson where we let you go and you prove that, not that it was a mistake per se, because, we're not dying here. We're not suffering because we don't have you. But, hey, you can go monetize outside. You can build up your name. And then if you do so and you want to come back, then we can have that conversation then. Dominick Cruz, Jose Aldo. He asked for it. He mentioned it. Sounds like a great idea. They're both free. TJ's injured. Don't know what his status is. I know Aldo won the TJ, but that's another great fight. Legend versus legend. Former champ versus former champ. Dan Ige loses at featherweight to Josh Emmett. I would give him I would give Ige the loser. What was this fight? He already fought Zombie. He's already fought Calvin Kattar. He fought Barboza. And these guys are matched up. I mean, I feel like he's in a real tough spot, I can't remember who it was that he absolutely blasted. I think it was the last fight out for him. So he's had a hard time whenever it comes to stepping up. And he's he's been around for a while. I don't know. I guess it just depends on. I don't have a real strong feeling for Ige. I guess I'm a little more harsh. I felt like he didn't deserve that win over Barboza, and but I think he's still young enough where it's like, and he's still good enough. I don't know. Honestly, I don't see leaving the UFC as a bad thing for guys like him. I think that he could potentially make more money in a PFL, potentially vying for their 145-pound belt, or maybe in Bellator doing something. But I'd be more likely to have that conversation with him. Like, I don't hate you. I don't think that you're not useful, but you might be able to make a bigger name and more money in the short term for yourself, and then eventually long term make big money coming back to us. You might want to explore your options. Well, I would do that. On a case by case basis. I know the UFC is a business, and they don't want to start letting you don't want to make this type of stuff public. You don't want to, because in every whenever somebody decides they're not happy with their pay, they start saying, hey, let me go explore my options. I know they can't do that for everybody, but for guys like this, I think that it's warranted. Have that conversation. Josh Emmett, back in off of a long layoff, excuse me. Nothing to be honest comes to mind. Maybe the winner of Barboza versus Bryce Mitchell. Maybe the Korean Zombie. Those seem like good fights. Okay, now we come to the main card. Julianna Paiva, he loses to Sean O'Malley. I honestly would use him as a get-right fight. I mentioned this before about another bantamweight being a get-right fight for Edgar or Faber. I know he trains at Alpha Male, so it certainly can't be Faber. They wouldn't do that. But somebody who's still out there but maybe down on their luck. I mean, this would be cruel and unusual. But boxing does this all the time, man. I'd give him Corey Sandhagen. I know y'all are like, man, you just trying to see this man sent to the pearly gates. But man, I like to get a guy like Sandhagen, who I felt beat Dillashaw but got the loss. Now he legitimately loses to Jan. Get his groove back. Let him style on somebody, and Lord knows that if O'Malley can style on you, that Corey Sandhagen's gonna style on you. I mean, I would do that. I mean, because hey, I don't know what Paiva's age is. If he's still young, he can take these licks back to back. Then take some time, reevaluate, and come back. I'm not like trying to throw this guy away or throw any of these guys away forever, but just certain times people are at different points in their career. Sean O'Malley. Honestly, I would give Sean O'Malley somebody off the Contender Series. I mean, I think it's just still a little more fine tuning that needs to happen. Maybe like 7, 8, 9 more fights of Contender Series guys. Let's bring them along nice and slow, right? Nice and slow. Let's let all those guys that are older than him age out a little bit before we throw them in there with them. I mean, I'm saying that a little bit in jest, but some part of me is like, hey, keep on. He makes people feel some kind of way. Let him keep on doing that. Let people keep on being mad that, hey, you know what? Why are you matching this guy up in such a fashion? We're still going to watch. There's just something about him. He does a lot of stuff. He's into gaming and all that stuff. Let him go out there and fight some guys. I tweeted out on Saturday. I said, Sean O'Malley, UFC, Michael Page, Bellator. And then people started that's just an open-ended tweet. It's open for interpretation. What comparisons am I drawing? Somebody said, Samuel, Sean O'Malley hater. And it's like, wait a minute. You telling on yourself. You're saying that you hate Michael Page. And so if I'm comparing O'Malley to Michael Page, that I must be hating on O'Malley. And no, I wasn't. I don't hate O'Malley. I don't hate Michael Page. I enjoy watching can crushing exhibitions. I liked it. I didn't like it, the health consequence. But when MVP fought the male cyborg and he crushed his skull, I mean, the after effects, I don't want that. But just the fact that you can just be so comfortable to just use all of your craziest techniques that you would ever think to do and pull it off against the guy, I think that's amazing. I like to see that stuff. I like to see guys get built up until it's time for them to step up. I mean, and you don't, I don't understand, like, guys don't need, exciting guys that people are going to watch regardless. You don't need to just put them through the wood chipper, man. Let them get comfortable, let them get cocky, let them, reel off a bunch of wins, let them have these gaudy records. And then when it's showtime, put them in there with somebody who's going to allow them to, either sink or swim. But don't just, have them, take a loss and then try to get another hard guy to give them another loss against somebody who maybe you don't even want to market as much as you want to market that guy. There are certain times where it's like you're hoping, and I mean the UFC is hoping that somebody is really good just because they got a following. Like when they had McGregor, they struck gold. Like they're not doing enough, in my opinion, to create this kind of what would you call it? Where you get the fan bases polarized. Like a bunch of people say, "Oh, this guy sucks. He'll never do anything. The only reason he's got this record is because you got him facing all these cans. Give him X, Y, and Z, and then that won't be the case, right? Keep on pissing them off. As long as they're going to keep on watching and being mad at this stuff, but they're going to watch, keep on doing it for an extended period of time and allow these guys to build records. Say, hey, I know right now you might not love your pay, but look, I'll give you these easier fights. The pay is still a little nominal, but then, when you step up, then we'll step up the pay. But right now, you can make a lot of money crushing these cans and fighting more frequently. And essentially, it'll be the same as, preparing to fight, to get to that stage of your career where you're only going to fight 2 or 3 times a year. I was like the guys who were super active. I know a lot of times those guys don't end up being champions, but Charles Oliveira at some point was a very active fighter. And look at him. He's a champ. So I would match Sean O'Malley up with somebody, I don't know. The next Chris Moutinho. Cody Garbrandt. Time to go, man. Honestly. You should not allow Cody Garbrandt to take another potential concussion in your promotion. To me, that you'll be negligent if you do. The guy's punch resistance is just not there. His skills are the same. He's less than what he was in, what was that, December of 2016 when he dethroned Dominick Cruz. In fact, I bet you if you matched up he and Cruz today, and you got to remember he's still a younger guy by like 5 years, I think Cruz would piece him up, and the roles would essentially be reversed. The only difference would be that Cruz might actually get a finish because his punch resistance is just absolutely gone. Kai Kara France, very impressive. I stole this from somebody. I wish I could give credit, but I don't know if I heard it or I saw it. But a lot of people have been talking about him versus Manel Cape. I think that's how you say his name. Both hard chargers, bangers, finishers. They got a very similar style. They've had their ups and downs. I think that would be a perfect matchup. And then, that will put them right up there. Maybe one fight away after that. Or maybe, if timing works out, they end up in a flyweight title fight. Santiago Ponzinibbio, he lost to Geoff Neal. Very close fight. Could have gone either way. And in fact, it was a split decision, right? But he's up there in age. Again, I'd have that conversation like, hey, you still want to be here? You want to do this? Give him, I wouldn't be opposed to giving him, saying to Michael Chiesa, hey, you've lost now 2 in a row. He just lost. He's lost 2 of his last 3. You guys need to fight, right? Because before he was out for a long period of time due to some health issues, he was like a top 6 or 7 type welterweight. So I mean, you guys both need a win. At least one of you can can use the other person to move forward, and the other person, then we got to have a really, the loser of that fight, we have to have a really hard conversation about. Geoff Neal. I mean, I think that we need to allow the legal process to take its course. I would make him sit out until he gets that potential DUI cleared up. Because I understand why you keep him on this card. It would have been unfair to Santiago and so many others. I mean, I would have kept him on, but at the same time, only because the short period of time towards the fight, and just not wanting to make Santiago miss out on a payday and a potential win, because you can't potentially not. Allegedly not be impaired driving behind the wheel. Amanda Nunes and Julianna Pena, run it back. Run it back. I'm not a fan of running it back. I'm not a fan of the immediate rematch. Why would I say I'm not a fan, but I'm saying run it back? It's because I'm a believer of that immediate rematch theory. The fact is that you don't let somebody get finished, and then just because they were the champ, you say, hey, let's run it back. The UFC champions who get dethroned are, I want to say, 1 in 10 in the immediate rematch. The only person in UFC history to win the immediate rematch when it got ran back was Randy Couture, if I'm not mistaken, over Vitor Belfort. In the first fight, Belfort cut him. It was like a freak thing where the fight gets stopped because Randy has a bad cut. It wasn't like saying you're better than him. It was a freak incident. So that the immediate rematch, okay, that's understandable. But all these other guys that they've been running out here for these they are ruining these fighters in some cases. Cody Garbrandt, I blame them more than anybody. And they say that the UFC is a fight promotion. What kind of promoter would have this prize pupil? He comes out, he loses the way Garbrandt lost to Dillashaw, and then you say, you know what, would be a great idea. Let's have you go right back in there against the same guy. That's not how it works typically in boxing. I mean, you would give this guy a couple tune-up fights, against guys who are even more potentially washed than he is, right? You wouldn't throw him back. I mean, and this isn't the type of situation. This isn't like a Ruiz. Joshua, where it's like, did you just not prepare? Did you get caught up in the moment? Because remember in that fight, Joshua dropped Ruiz before Ruiz started dropping Joshua. Can you just remedy this with a better game plan? And, certainly looking at the way this guy is just loving the fact that he's the champ and just living it up and just thinking that he's just going to come back in here and do the same thing, you got to give this guy, allow him to get his feet back under him, get some confidence and style on some people who are less than him. But no, that's not what the UFC wants to do. They always want to give these people these immediate rematches. Weili Zhang, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, just you name it. Think about it. I mean, maybe that stat, you're unaware of that stat, but think about who has won the immediate rematches coming off of a title loss. Anderson Silva versus Chris Weidman. It's just a bad idea. it's just been a bad idea. I mean, and I understand Amanda Nunes was the biggest or the third biggest favorite in a title fight to lose. But to me, it's like you're going to turn them around in 4 months and have them rematch. Amanda doesn't have that memory of this girl standing up to her punches, giving as well as she took, and then taking her down and choking her out. That's not going to affect her. That's not going to make her less than. Julianna doesn't realize like, hey, I did it once, I can do it again. Do you really? I mean, this is a person that people are still going to say is the greatest of all time. Do you really want to give her these 2 losses? I mean, typically I would say you don't want to do that. But in this instance, because most people are still going to favor Amanda, I would say, hey, let's put this theory to the test. And the reason I want to put it to the test is because if Julianna were to win a second time in a row, we can just ask the UFC to forever just table the immediate. Don't do it again. Look, if you can't get Amanda to get a win on the immediate rematch, and nobody should ever get an immediate rematch other than like a freak loss or something. Okay, so like let's say for instance, after Leon Edwards hopefully gets his rightful title fight that he deserves with Usman, which is a rematch, but it's not immediate, and Leon wasn't the champ when they fought to begin with. But after he gets that, if he loses, and let's say it's now Kamaru versus Hamzat, unless something happens early in the fight that's just a freak accident that causes Usman to lose, no immediate rematch. I know you're gonna say, "Oh my God," but he's done so much. He's beat all these other guys. He's shown that he can beat who are top tier. Why? We have done it enough. It's enough. Allow these guys to build themselves back up and to earn it. Lastly, I'm being interrupted here. Lastly, Poirier, I would give him Michael Chandler, and Oliveira, I would have given him Islam, but they match Islam with Dariush, so it's clear that they're gonna give him Gaethje.